Welcome to today's video of me living, eating, training like Eliud Kipchoge for a day. I've been looking at his diet and absolutely insane, if I'm honest. For anyone who doesn't know who Eliud Kipchoge is, he's a sub 2 hour marathoner, the only person to ever do that, and that is just such an unbelievable achievement. Honestly, that is mental. For anyone that's wondering, his average mile pace is 4 minutes 35 and his average kilometre pace is 2 minutes 50. I'm not going to be running at his pace, little spoiler alert. That isn't physically possible for me personally. For anyone that's wondering of my skill level, I'm training for a sub 1 hour 20 half marathon. My marathon PB is 2 hours 55 minutes 58 seconds. So I'm going to be running nowhere near Eliud's pace today. That is, in my opinion, one of the craziest achievements in the whole of sports history. The only man to ever do it. He did it in Vienna. Let's get into it. First, I'm going to be starting off with a bit of breakfast, but over the course of the day I'm going to be eating stuff I've never eaten before, so I'm really interested. I'm really excited as well. I've been wanting to do this video for a while and now I finally can do it. It's falling into my plan, so I've chosen a day of his running that suits my day of training. Here we are for meal number one. One slice of bread. It is fresh baked bread, but I'm not allowed any butter, olive oil, balsamic, anything, untoasted, plain bread. So that's that. Everything Kipchoge eats is sourced from the local markets in Kenya that's organic. I've had to get this tea, which was so hard to find. I can't even read the box. The box isn't in English. But anyway, it's chai tea. Kipchoge will drink anything from 4 to 6 chai teas a day. It's very milky, that's apparently how he likes it. And we're going to put sugar in. How many tablespoons of sugar do you reckon he has in his tea? Stop the video now. If you're watching it with someone, have a little quiz. Let's have a look. So, tablespoons, right? Right, so five tablespoons of sugar. Jesus fucking Christ, that's insane, Eliud. The reason why he has this, he has a light breakfast. He doesn't like being full on his run, so he's got carbohydrates in the bread and he wants that quick releasing sugar, the glycogen here, so that it gives him the energy in his runs, so he says. But let's try it. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god, that is insane. Oh my god, man. Getting good to you though. I've got to get a waddle on though, because in 15 minutes, 6:10 is when I'm going out on my run. First run of the day, 6:10 AM. I've got a 21 kilometre run at an easy to moderate pace, so interpret that as you will. It's all relative, obviously. I'm not going to be running at Kipchoge's pace again. But anyone who turns up late to the runs, they get left behind. So they run with a group of them in Kenya, all of them running, some of them professional runners, some of them striving to be professional runners. They all run at 6:10 AM. Anyone that can't run at 6:10 AM, they just leave them. So I suppose it's just teaching people discipline. That's the type of stuff I like, to be honest. I like hearing stuff like that. So let's start. I mean, it's nice, but it's just bread, really, isn't it?
Calm down before you stress up the groove. The energy a little different when the blessings accrue. Hey, who you talking to? Just know I ain't no regular fool. Could be anything in the world, but I can never be you, because I stand tall like I'm on my tiptoes. Baby, you think a little too small. I got big goals, baby. Hey, where the money at? Look, I just need the info. Pronto, I go and get it and split it with my kinfolk daily. And I'm the type of that might change my number on you. Yeah, that's how you react when people tip this number on you.
kilometres done, moderate to easy pace. To be honest, I was feeling a little bit groggy because I was running first thing in the morning, but as soon as I loosened up after around 5 or 6 kilometres, it started to pick up a little bit. So a nice and easy run for me this morning. Well, I say nice and easy, not really easy, but a moderate pace. What we have here, 4 slices of sourdough or just homemade bread. It says so, white bread. I've just used sourdough here because that's what I could find in a bakery. And then 4 fried eggs. To be honest, I butchered the fried eggs a little bit. My pan isn't great, I need a new pan. I'm making up excuses because I fucked the eggs up basically. The yolks are everywhere, but we move, you either win or learn, right? So as we got here, the 4 fried eggs are a little bit butchered, or as I would say when I was younger, splat eggs, which is an evidence-based fact that I was probably a bit of a moron. I'm still a moron now, to be honest, but a visual learner, let's say. I used to have to go to extracurricular activity before school called, what was it, FLS it was called, Further Learning Sports. So basically, all the people that they thought were a bit daft, they'd stick in there and then they would feed us raisins after we exchanged MSN accounts. So, every time you use a Q, a U must always come after it. Very simple meals, a lot of bread, but I suppose the carbs are replacing. All the energy is burnt on the run. Got a bit of fats and protein in the eggs. He doesn't always eat eggs, he only eats eggs on his longer or heavier workouts. So basically, his easier days, he won't basically have any protein. You'll see that throughout the day. It's absolutely madness. It goes against everything we know in Western culture to have protein to repair the muscles, but I have a little theory about it. They say that it's Kenya's best kept secret, having a load of carbohydrates and not a lot of protein. And to be honest, who can argue with it? Their marathon runners are the best in the world, always have been. Tailor-made for endurance sports, so his heart rate's going to be loaded up. More muscle mass you have, the more oxygen your body requires. If you don't look at him next to someone else, you'd think he's quite tall, he looks rangy, because when he runs he has such like an elegant stride. They say it's because a lot of them, especially the young runners coming up that haven't yet got sponsorship deals, is because a lot of them don't have a lot of money, so they have to live off something like $2 a day, which is absolutely ridiculous. So a lot of these foods are easy access foods that they get from local markets, are cheap, but I think because Kipchoge is a multi-millionaire at this point, but he still eats the way he does, that might be a few reasons, whether he's doing it to keep himself humble. I think he might not be having a lot of protein because he doesn't want to repair the muscles and build the muscle mass he has. So he does do some strength and conditioning, but mainly just a core routine, so it isn't particularly bodybuilding exercises. But I particularly think he doesn't have a lot of protein because he doesn't want to either eat too much food where he has to consume the protein on top of his normal calories that he has. He doesn't track any calories or macros, he just kind of goes by eye. But it's either that, or on the other hand of that, he isn't trying to build muscle mass. So these are the 2 reasons I think. But anyway, I've got another cup of syrup. To be honest, I'm really not looking forward to it. It wasn't too bad before my run, but I could taste the sugar on my lips as I was running. It was too much, man. Anyway, without further ado, meal number 2. I was going to say 1. Meal number 2. I will always look something. I will always look something for you. After getting showered and eating his post meal, Eliud will begin whatever daily chores are needed to be completed. The more I read up about Kipchoge, it became apparent that himself and his team are supremely collectively disciplined. I quote, "You cannot train alone and expect to run a fast time. There is a formula. 100% of me is nothing compared to 1% of the whole team." This really inspired me to join a running club, as most of my runs are conducted alone. Running for me personally is an opportunity to problem solve personal issues, and I love the immersive feeling of long runs where the mind is clear to think uninterrupted. However, I do really miss the camaraderie of playing for a football team and the connection you gain with training partners in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. When Eliud's chores are completed, he'll grab a pen and paper to begin to write in his personal journal. In 2002, at the age of 18, Kipchoge's then and now coach Patrick Sang would offer him a training plan to channel his obvious talent. Nowadays that wouldn't be an issue for Eliud, however then he wouldn't have anything to write the training plan down on. I quote, "I just got a stick and wrote the plan for 10 days down on my arm. Then I just crammed it in my head, rushed home and got a pen and paper to write down what he had told me while it was fresh in my mind."
Eliud has a total of 15 notebooks containing his daily reflections, his workouts, and how he can improve from the day before. As he says, when you write, you remember. He writes everything down in his journal so that when he goes to the marathon, he can look back and recite the last few months that he's had training and know he's done absolutely everything he can. It gives him the confidence to go out and deliver on race day. Meal number 3 in it. It's meal number 3. We all knew that. Just checking you're still paying attention. I've got some water boiling here. In the water today I'm going to be, Matthew, ugali, or maize meal I've got to make it from, but it's called ugali. It's a Kenyan staple dish. Anyone who's Kenyan would probably have presumed I was going to be making this throughout the day. So I've never eaten this before, let alone have ever cooked it. So anyone who's Kenyan that is watching this, please do forgive me. I may butcher it. I'm going to try my best though, it's all you can do. So I've had a little look of how to cook it. So I'm going to give this a go. So basically this meal has 0 protein in at all. It has a lot of carbohydrates in, it has a lot of starch in it as well. So I'm going to be making this. Alongside this I've got some sauteed cabbage and spinach, which is going to be sauteed in milk. Apparently the runners don't like to use a lot of seasoning in their food, salt and pepper, but nothing else. In the markets in Kenya it's quite easy to get a hold of herbs and spices, but for whatever reason they don't tend to use it. I couldn't see why. I'm going to give it a go, ugali. Wish me luck. Please don't butcher it, Jez. Please don't butcher it. I'm actually pretty chuffed at that. I think I've done a decent job. Anyone who knows how to cook it, let me know how I've done. I've got an Indian flatbread here that I've just put under the grill for a little bit to heat up nicely. I know from my time working with a few Indian guys that are actually born in Kenya themselves. There's a big Indian influence in Kenya, and I can see that in some of the cooking as well, because I believe chai tea is Asian. Could be wrong, but I believe it is. I know it's drank a lot in China as well, so perhaps it's Asian, but who knows? Maybe I'm being an idiot. But I'm trying to not be a Philistine here. I'm actually looking forward to having it. Again, I've got more chai tea because apparently he drinks chai tea all the time. Let's try this ugali. I've heard it's very bland, so I just want a little piece of that to start with. The texture's kind of like a bit of cheap instant mashed potato. I don't know if anyone's ever had that. It was bleak the time when I first moved out on my own, so. Okay. That's really, really bland. I put a tiny bit of salt in when I cooked it in the actual water, but I actually quite like that. That's quite nice. So I'm going to try that with a bit of the sauteed cabbage and spinach. You know what? I actually really, really like this. That is mad. That sauteed spinach and cabbage, I'm going to start using that. That is really, really good. Are we keeping the skin on or are we taking it off? These furry little bleeders right here, I'm keeping the fur on all day long. That skin is where the goodness is at. It's currently about 3:30, just before 3:30, so I've got a core routine now just before the second run of the day. I can't miss the boys at 4 PM. I'm not running with anyone. It's UK lockdown. But I'm going to imagine not missing the boys because, again, if you turn up late, the crew's leaving without you. Shows good discipline. So I'm going to have to try and get it done. Half an hour should be more than enough, to be honest. The core routine isn't really that extensive. There's about 5 exercises, 20 reps each aside. So I'm going to just try and do it, blast it all out, no rest.
6-6. Yeah, I'm shining bright, got me feeling like I'm next, so feeling like I'm Curry, how I'm balling on the West Wall. If you told me back then, oh, I never would've guessed, so now the way I'm winning, I might have to cut the net. Yeah, I'm shining bright, got me feeling like I'm next, so feeling like I'm Curry, how I'm balling on the West Wall. If you told me back then, oh, I never would've guessed, so now the way I'm winning, I ain't have to cut the net. Hey, I said I've been slaving, dog, let me see the money. Hey, now I'm popping, oh, they looking at me funny. Hey, I was in the rain waiting for these sunny days. Made it through, you can tell me I don't love to say. On my way to that show, told them pipe down, I don't need no hoes. I've been out with my bros, even back then I knew I'd grow. Now I'm knocking down these doors, they ain't keeping up when I switch these flows. They don't want no smoke, can't get hot, I can been so low. I've been trying to get it, told them I'ma run it up. Out all night, so I told them go and fill my cup. Now they texting, but back then they never showed me love. They been hating since day one, dawg, you looking sus. Now they switching sides, I can't mess with y'all. I could tell they ain't real, I can't get involved. Ooh, I seen them now, and they tryna call. Ooh, this summer's mine, but they tryna watch me fall. Yeah, I'm shining bright, got me feeling like I'm next, so feeling like I'm Curry, how I'm balling on the West Wall. If you told me back then, oh, I never would've guessed, so now the way I'm winning, I ain't have to cut the net. Hey, I said I've been slaving, dog, let me see the money. Hey, now I'm popping, oh, they looking at me funny. Hey, I was in the rain waiting for these sunny days. Made it through, you can tell me I don't love to say. On my way to that show, told them pipe down, I don't need no hoes. I've been out with my bros, even back then I knew I'd grow. Now I'm knocking down these doors, they ain't keeping up when I switch these flows. They don't want no smoke, can't get hot, I can been so low. I've been trying to get it, told them I'ma run it up. Out all night, so I told them go and fill my cup. Now they texting.
Post-run meal number 5 it is now. I've got simply oats, water and sugar. I haven't put sugar on oats for a long time, but I used to do it when I was a kid, and I remember that caramelization on top of the oats. Oh, to be honest, I've cheated a little bit, because normally as porridge Kipchoge would have something called millet, which is basically a seed. So I've had a look how to cook it, and you'd basically toast a seed before on the pan for a little bit to bring out the nutty flavour, and then once it was toasted, then you put water into it and then cook it and then add sugar on at the end. But essentially it kind of make a porridge just similar as it would with oats. I did order it Amazon Prime 2 days ago, hasn't turned up. What is going on Amazon Prime? What am I paying my money for, mate? You know what I mean? Jeff Bezos, what is this? You know, James Ward, the YouTuber with 70 subscribers, is asking, where's your Prime? To be honest, I don't get why they use water for the oats when they do drink milk. I can understand it if you're lactose intolerant or you didn't want to have milk, but they have milk in all of those chai teas, and to be honest, I'm sick of chai tea today. I've had way too much of it. 4 cups of tea in a day, I haven't had that. I didn't even know if I've ever had that, but anyway, let's try it. Really simple, and to be honest, cheap and cheerful that is, with a bit of sugar on top of it. If you didn't have the sugar, it'd be bland. Here we are for the final meal of the day. As you can see, it's pretty much the same as I had earlier. The ugali, the sautéed spinach and cabbage, and then an Indian flatbread on the side as well. But as you can see, the ugali is a little bit brown. I was experimenting. I tried to put some honey, salt and lemon as well in there when I cooked it, when I put it in with the water. know what, I've been really pleasantly surprised with that ugali. Every report I said it's really bland. It is bland. Not so much now I've put the honey in, but to be honest, I can't really taste it too much. It is bland, but I don't know what it is. I think I just love the texture. I really like mashed potato as well, and it has a similar kind of texture. Not really, it's a little bit thicker, a bit more like a cake. I'm definitely going to start using this. I'm currently just sitting in bed. It's about 10 past 8. Kipchoge goes to bed around 9 o'clock, but I'm not going to be going to bed around 9 o'clock because Leeds are playing on a Friday night and a few of my mates in my fantasy league have Bamford captain, so I've got to watch that. I'm eagerly anticipating a blank, hopefully, fingers crossed. But anyway, I've really enjoyed today. Like, honestly, these full day of eating like a celebrity or someone like my favourite athletes, I find them really interesting. The ugali and stuff, the second time I had it, I was a little bit like, it was getting a bit boring if I'm honest. But I was experimenting with the honey and stuff, and I'm definitely going to have it in my diet. Just maybe not for a few days. The chai tea, really enjoyed that. Just not the first one with 5 tablespoons of sugar. That's ridiculous. But then again, I'm saying it's ridiculous, but I can't really argue. How can you argue with his results? I would say he's a really talented runner, but I actually think that does him disjustice because he does 150 miles a week, every single week minimum. He has the natural genes, if you like, the genetics, but he's working incredibly hard at the same time. And this diet is a bit west, if I'm honest. It's a bit mad. Not a lot of protein, but then again, like I said, how can I argue against it? Because his results are way better than mine. His results are way better than anyone who's ever lived. I find him a really fascinating character, the way he does his journaling, and he keeps himself really humble, which is something I just think fair play to him. He has like millions and millions of pounds, but he sticks to his roots. He sticks to what got him there ultimately. So I think for his people, for people looking up to him, he must inspire so many people. I know he inspires me, so I know he's not going to watch this video. I don't think Kipchoge strikes me as someone who's going to be scrolling through Instagram on a daily basis. But anyway, I've really enjoyed it. I'm going to try and incorporate some of those stuff into my training schedule because I'm getting into the gritty part of my training schedule now, trying to attempt a sub 1 hour 20 half marathon. I'm about 7 weeks out. I'm going to do around a 2-week taper. I'm not going to do a 3-week taper like my marathon. I'm going to do a 2-week taper so I can see what that's like and see where I go from there. I'm really excited to see what I can do. And it was really enjoyable to have a little one look into the eye of someone like Kipchoge, a great like him. I've really enjoyed the video. If you've enjoyed it, please do give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
Yeah, I'm shining bright, got me feeling